Back in the summer of 2021, I shared a video showcasing my ever-growing turntable collection, and the video has racked up over 50,000 views, and I still get comments rolling in over 3 years later. One comment that resonated with me suggested that I sell off the excess turntables and invest in one solid, higher-end model instead of dilly-dallying around. And that comment made me pause, and it shifted my perspective from a semi-hoarding mindset of thinking that I need to try every hi-fi model out there to realizing I needed to be more discerning and refined in my choices. So I took the plunge and listed those turntables for sale and treated myself to a quality higher-end model. And let me tell you, I'm thrilled with that decision. And there are also far less stacks of gear cluttering up my home, which certainly made my wife very happy. But don't think I let go of everything, so stick around and see what I decided to keep. If you're a current or former Rega owner, or you simply are Rega curious, or perhaps you are a general turntable enthusiast, stick around as you may find this video interesting. So I did decide to keep my black 1990 Ria Planer 3. It's a classic in the Rega turntable lineup, featuring the signature smoked dust cover, and it's in really great condition. The original Planer 3 was a game changer when it debuted in 1977. It became popular as an excellent performer and being an amazing value. The real halo component of my Planer 3 is the RB300 tone arm, which was released in 1983. Manufactured as a single piece end-to-end out of cast silicon aluminum. Its amazing affordability and performance led many enthusiasts to install the RB300 on far pricier turntables with excellent results. About a year after I thinned out my turntable collection, I discovered Tango Spinner, a company that offers a range of upgrade parts specifically for Rega turntables. These components are designed to replace the stock parts with higher quality materials and improved designs. Intrigued, I reached out to Gus, the owner, and he was excited about the possibility of collaborating for a video, so he kindly sent me a selection of Tango Spinner upgrades to explore. If you're interested in seeing a pair of videos I made in 2022 about the modern Rega P3 and the Tango Spinner components I installed in my older Planer 3, please see the links below in the description. I'll just say here that these upgrades have transformed my stock Planer 3 from a solid, high-value turntable into a serious sonic contender sitting just behind my Linn LP12. Recently, Gus sent me a couple of brand new TNG Spinner products to try out on my Planer 3. TNG Spinner? Not Tango Spinner? You might wonder why the name change. According to Gus, a trademark dispute erupted over the name Tango in Argentina, where they are based, which led to an really unjust challenge from a company with much deeper pockets. So instead of engaging in a costly legal battle, they prudently opted to rebrand as TNG Spinner. It's the same company, the same quality, just a new name. Now let's be honest, the original stock Rega rubber feet aren't exactly inspiring. They look simple, inexpensive, and functional, and nothing more. And they screw directly into the plinth, and they lack any type of adjustability. 2 years ago, I upgraded my Planer 3 with the Tango or TNG Spinner Boca Universal Adjustable Feet. And they are precision machined aluminum cones with plastic inserts that screw into the bottom of your turntable. And as you expect from the name, they are adjustable by rotating them, which is crucial for achieving a level setup. And that's a fundamental tenet for proper record playback, a level turntable. And I'd much rather have adjustable feet than use coins or cardboard shims placed under non-adjustable feet any day. My only quibble with them is that the small self-adhesive silicone pads that are stuck on the bottom sometimes struggle to stay put. Enter the new 2024 Air model, which brings a welcome redesign. These feet have a shallower cone shape and feature silicone cups that grip the surface beneath, creating small air chambers to absorb the vibrations. In my view, these are a significant improvement over the previous rubber nubs. Both the Boca and the Air feet maintain the same height, ensuring there's enough clearance for the bearing and motor housing underneath. You can snag a set of 3 Air feet for $65 plus shipping, available in brushed aluminum and with a matte black option for just $3 more. Next on the list is a part of the turntable that doesn't often get a lot of love, the counterweight. You know, that cylindrical lump of metal that hangs off the back of a tone arm. It's there to do one job: counterbalance the weight of the cartridge and the head shell and the arm itself. The stock Rega counterweight is made of tungsten, I believe. It's dense and heavy and compact, so why would one want or need to replace the counterweight? The stock one does a perfectly adequate job, right? Well, that's what I thought until I received the TNG Spinner Underslung counterweight and began to recognize what they did with their design. And as I mentioned earlier, counterweights usually have a cylindrical shape. TNG Spinner altered its shape by moving the hole to an off-center position at the top, and they've added 3 threaded holes at the bottom where you can attach additional small weights if needed. Installation is pretty straightforward. You remove the original counterweight from your Rega arm and then slide the TNG weight until the end stub, push it all the way until it stops. Now inside the weight's hole are silicone rings that decouple it from the shaft, so there's no metal on metal contact. Now when you move the counterweight closer to the pivot, it has to be heavier to counteract the mass of the rest of the tone arm. And if your cartridge is on the heavier side, you'll need to add the extra weights TNG provides. The price of the TNG Underslung counterweight is $140 plus shipping. And if you need or want the metal end stub, that's an additional $14. When you order, tell Gus which arm and cartridge you have so that he can recommend which set of weights you will need. For my setup, starting with one weight in the middle was enough. And it did take me a bit more time to set the VTF, as I was not accustomed to the process yet. Now, I'm certainly not a physicist, and I'm not about to play one on YouTube, but I'll explain the best as I can the possible advantages of a low or underslung counterweight. One of the main concepts behind the TNG Spinner Underslung counterweight is simple. It mounts significantly closer to the tone arm pivot yoke than the stock unit. And by moving the weight closer to the yoke, it shifts the center of gravity forward, thus reducing the inertia and potential waggle of the counterweight. And that is said to improve tracking, especially on records that aren't perfectly flat. Now more about the low or underslung design. Numerous experts in the audio industry agree that it is a good idea to lower the center of gravity at both ends of the tone arm, as cartridges and the stylus are mounted in an underslung fashion as well. So from what I've gathered then, this design is intended to improve record groove tracking stability. If you move the center hole of the counterweight off-center, closer to the edge, and then rotate it, the weight will naturally settle into its own center of gravity. Some enthusiasts argue that underslung designs are really only useful on unipivot tone arms because they do add the needed stability. Yet others counter that all tone arms would benefit from the added stability they provide. This is not a brand new idea. Most of the principles of proper turntable design were established over 6 years ago by very clever engineers and designers. If you go all the way back to the Acoustic Research XA model turntable from the 1950s, they were already using an underslung counterweight. I'm actually surprised how often this type of counterweight has been used over the decades, and hardly anyone seems to be talking about it. TNG Spinner isn't reinventing the wheel here, but they are giving us a thoughtful update on a time-tested idea. It's one of those things that might seem small, but when you think about how delicate the act of tracking a record groove is, any little improvement in balance or stability can make a difference. And that's what this design is supposed to do: reduce unwanted movement, improve tracking, and give better sound in the process. Will you or I notice an audible difference using the original weight versus the new TNG Underslung weight? I did some listening sessions using both the original Rega weight and the TNG. The cartridge in question is an Audio-Technica moving magnet, and the VTF is set at 2 grams. My phono preamp is a Kitsune LCR1 moving magnet prototype, which has a separate power supply. And from there, the signal goes to a Conrad Johnson 2 preamp and a Galleon TS-A75 amp. And the speakers, my trusty ProAct Response 2.5 floor standards. And I'm using Blue Jeans RCA interconnects and Galleon C100 speaker cables. So my method is pretty simple. I take notes while listening to various albums and compare my impressions. I swapped between the weights numerous times, and each time I had to rebalance the tone arm and set the tracking force to 2 grams. Was that fun? Not really. But I did it frequently because I really wanted to report accurately the differences I could detect, if any. Now, these are the records I played during my listening sessions with my Ria Planer 3. Was I a skeptic to the idea that a counterweight could make an audible difference during record playback? I suppose I was until I started looking into the history of underslung counterweights, and let's just say I've become more open-minded about hi-fi since rekindling my interest in the pastime 5 or 6 years ago. And making these videos has exposed me to many intriguing products that have expanded my hi-fi horizons. So I really had no idea what to expect, but as it turns out, there is actually something to it. And what I experienced with the Planer 3 using the stock weight was that it performed just as it has over the past 2 years plus, wonderfully with no complaints. And when I added the TNG Spinner counterweight, I actually noticed some deeper lower frequency clout and an overall more lively presentation. It was like watching a flower's petals gradually open from slightly closed to full bloom. Not overly dramatic, but noticeable. I genuinely wish I could conduct blind A/B listening sessions with such devices, but they're actually quite challenging to perform accurately, especially if I'm by myself. And with this type of upgrade, quick comparisons aren't possible. I would need 2 identical turntable setups and be able to rapidly switch between the 2. At this point, I'm not set up for that, unless someone out there wants to step up and help me out. In my opinion, both these TNG Spinner upgrades are worthwhile investments. They offer excellent value for money, considering their high level of performance, design, and craftsmanship. It's important to note that I'm not receiving any monetary compensation for creating this video. I enjoy showcasing products from small and passionate manufacturers because, to me, they represent the heart and soul of the hi-fi industry. Without them, the industry would be in a much different place. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this really deep dive into turntable feet and counterweights, be sure to click that like button and consider subscribing for more of my sound insights. And until then, I'll leave you to your own devices. Bye.